is a legend of one man who persuaded his friends to watch every Godzilla movie ever made. This world is on the brink of destruction. We need you now, Godzillavangelists! Godzillavangelists, a Geek Stew Network podcast, produced and hosted by Ryan Sargent, featuring Sam Schlenker and Joanna Brodecki. Hello and welcome to Godzillavangelists. I'm Ryan, and I'm here with my friends and co-hosts Sam and Joanna. If I sound a bit somber, I'm sorry to say that we're here on our 5th anniversary of all shows.
Wow.
At the funeral of Godzilla. Sam, Joanna, how do you feel about this?
Sad.
I was gonna say sorry.
I guess I figured by year 5 there'd be a funeral. I just didn't think it would be Godzilla's.
Oh, I was about to say it's kind of crazy that it took him this long to die, but I don't know. That feels rude to say.
Yeah, I mean, we thought he was going to die of diabetes.
I mean, they don't call it livabetes.
Oh no! Off to a rockin' start, everybody.
Yes. Well, I for one am devastated.
Yeah, we're here for you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We're here in this fancy cathedral, you know.
Gotta love a church.
Yeah. With a glorious Godzilla-shaped stained glass window.
Yes, exactly like our podcast art.
You didn't think it was based on a real window? You thought wrong.
Yeah, Ryan, Jesus Christ, get your facts right.
Made by craftsmen from the old world, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Well, it's not all tears, of course. Today, we're coming together to laugh, cry, and reminisce about 1995's Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. It was the end of an era, and famously, the end of Earth's most beloved monster.
Wow, I liked that. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and Ryan was sad about Godzilla's death, and Sam and Joanna were medium feelings about it.
You guys have to be at least a little sad by now. I mean, Godzilla's been a part of your life for so long.
I think I'm just so ready for Junior.
Ready for the next generation, huh?
Sam, you loved all the 90s films, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Sam wishes they would never end.
I know, it's pretty cool to have a whole decade of purgatories to swim through.
Wow, can't wait to see where this one lands.
Spoiler alert. No, it's I think it was hard for me because I just kind of figured Godzilla wouldn't really die. Like, I know he dies, but I mean, we this was 20 years ago. We happen to know of many more Godzilla movies. If it was truly the last one and they just said, you know what, no more of the big lizard boy, just we're done, this is it, this is that, like, then I would be like, oh, it's sad that no one got to see him stomp around anymore. But I didn't feel that for a moment. I felt, ooh, I wonder how they're going to kill him. Isn't that neat?
That jaw melt was pretty epic.
Yeah, the melting was good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, did you guys expect death via high temperatures.
I was here for all the freezing and melting. I very much enjoyed every part of those processes. Not for the pain caused to him, but because I thought they looked cool. They were amusing to watch.
I was terrified of both sequences when I was a child and saw this for the first time. I didn't like it when he got frozen, and I didn't like it when he melted.
Yeah, that would be disturbing as a young one.
Well, I'm sure you, the audience, wants to know what happened to Godzilla. So let's do a synopsis, just the three of us, like old times.
Aww.
I'll drop it in his honor.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Miki Saigusa discovers that Birth Island has been destroyed by a nuclear explosion. Thank you. Godzilla soon after surfaces in Hong Kong, overheating and glowing with rage.
Still haven't nailed it after all these years.
Screonk.
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 Screonk, I'm angry.
Kenkichi. Angry Screonk.
Angry Screonk. Ah.
Kenkichi Yamane, a descendant of Dr. Yamane, technically an adopted descendant, but adopted families are families, so he's still a descendant, theorizes that Godzilla's internal nuclear reactor is overactive and on the verge of exploding.
On Reddit. He theorizes on Reddit.
Yes, posted about it on Reddit. Meanwhile, his sister Yukari interviews Dr. Ijuin, I'm sure I'm butchering that, who has discovered a substance called micro-oxygen that seems very similar to the compound in the Oxygen Destroyer.
What? Cue the flashbacks of Dr. Serizawa and his hot self.
During construction of the Tokyo Bay Aqualine, strange crustacean monsters named Destoroyah appear and attack the humans in the surrounding area.
That's, I think, how they sound.
That's pretty amazing. They occasionally screech, but when they're walking around, that's pretty much the vibe. Everyone debates whether the micro-oxygen should be used in a weapon to safely dispose of Godzilla. But ultimately, Dr. Ijuin refuses when he discovers that the Destoroyah creatures were spawned from the original Oxygen Destroyer.
No!
Dun, dun, dun.
It's more like
Later. Throwing it back.
Oxygen Destroyer.
Later, G-Force dispatches Major
I feel like
Show...
G-Force should have a theme song, too. If the Oxygen Destroyer gets one. G-Force has a Power Rangers tune, too. All right, anyways,
Okay.
Ryan, continue.
Well, they dispatch Major Sho Kuroki aboard the Super X-3, and he successfully uses freezing and cadmium weapons to temporarily chill out Godzilla.
Chill out, man. Chillax.
Chill. Everybody chill. Freeze.
What if that Mr. Freeze was in this movie?
Nice to see you.
What killed Godzilla? The Ice Age.
The Ice Age. I'm going to give you the
Miki's-
cold shoulder. It's not in the movie.
Help. Send help.
Stop! Someone stop! Say something.
Someone stop. Hey, internet, slow down. God damn it. Ryan,
What
keep
is
reading.
this, 2004? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh my
impression?
god.
Anyway, Miki Saigusa also successfully finds little Godzilla,
Aw,
who has
Junior.
grown and mutated into a more mature Godzilla Jr.
Or is it Minion? No, it's not. Was confirmed.
Unfortunately, the freezing strategy is only effective for a handful of hours.
Drats.
And Godzilla arises once again, searching for Junior. Kenkichi now believes that Godzilla will actually melt down in a world-ending disaster. Desperate, G-Force insists that Miki uses her psychic powers to lure Junior close to Destoroyah, which will instigate a fight that they hope kills both Godzilla and Destoroyah. Junior arrives first and is initially able to repel the hostile monster. However, soon after Godzilla arrives, Destoroyah returns in the form of a massive devil-like creature. That sounded almost upbeat.
Oh, I meant it to be like, wait, I meant it to be like, kind of like how Jesus Christ Superstar the musical sounds when Judas is dying. Anyways, very niche reference for anyone who knows it.
Indeed. So yes, Destoroyah mortally wounds Junior. Godzilla is able to defeat his foe with the help of the Super X3, but laments the death of his son and ultimately dies himself in a tragic meltdown. However, Junior is able to absorb the radiation to heal himself and be reborn as a new Godzilla.
Oh, see, it is like Jesus Christ Superstar, rising from the
really
dead.
is.
I sense an Easter narrative here.
Godzilla, Superstar.
Yikes.
Who are you? What to shoot something? Well, I hear a knock at the door, so let's start bringing the mourners in.
Let's bring him in.
Oh, it's my family. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh.
In our time of need.
Of course.
It means the world.
Godzilla has no family of his own, so I feel like we really needed your presence here.
That's why I'm here.
Ryan wouldn't make it through today with only Sam and I. Me and Sam. There's no way.
No, if anything, we're making it
Well,
worse.
We feel like Godzilla is one of ours as well.
In fact, I have some papers here. I've been issued to become I now have custody of Minya.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad he'll have someone loving to take care of him.
I seemed like the best candidate.
Yeah. I feel like if he went out on the streets, Sam would bully him, so you gotta make sure he's safe in custody.
It's just... Why couldn't it have been Minya?
Hey!
Just to make sure I'm tracking, Minya and Junior different, right?
Different.
Okay.
Minya...
But similar.
It's different but similar.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Minya's like like John Lennon's first kid that he ignored.
Oh, that's right. Julian.
Yeah.
Minya is to Julian as Junior is to Sean. Oh no.
That's right.
Okay. Brilliant. But speaking of which, did you guys think it was unfair of G-Force to use Godzilla Jr. as bait to lure his dad?
I think no. It's just a continuation of a long line of manipulating poor monsters to the human ends and needs, while the humans pretend like they're the victims. So they've mentally manipulated Godzilla before. Aliens have manipulated the monsters before to do their bidding. What's one more time?
That's true. It's a societal ongoing issue.
It's very sad
Yeah.
when you put it like that.
I feel like there's no way that Junior did not know what was happening either, especially because Mickey did communicate with him and they have such a connection. I'm sure it came through in her emotions. This is your last stand. You need to do this for us. And since they have such a connection, I think Junior knew, and that's part of the reason why he did turn around.
Okay. All right. I like that. It's a more positive and yet tragic approach.
Yes, that even adds to the tragedy.
It does. What about you, Mom? How do you feel about that?
Well, I didn't like that they manipulated him, but when I thought about it, he was going to die when Godzilla melted down completely anyway, so he was gonna go one way or the other.
Oh.
I guess that's how they saw it.
And a nice middle of the road. Not too negative, not too positive, just pretty pragmatic.
Yeah, Junior's no longer that cute, but it's interesting how they differentiated him. They made him like greener, and he has like little spines. Like his his spines haven't fully grown in yet, like he still has baby teeth.
It's like how ears and
yeah.
noses keep growing even when you're fully grown. Your ears and your nose just keep on going, and as you get older, it's the same thing. Spines are like that. Yeah.
For Godzilla's.
But I have to say, I'm confused because I thought Junior was Minya grown up. That is not true.
Okay, see, I'm so happy that having had Minya in your household for so many years, you still were confused. I feel more validated in my opinion too.
This is like a new continuity, like a reboot. So it's like an alternate universe. Minya's in one, Junior's in another.
Yeah, that's like how this whole yeah.
What would you do to try to cool him down if he was all angry and hot, and you had a chance to save him? What would you do to help him?
Do you want our serious answers or our comedic answers? Because we had a long discussion and we have both.
I want both.
All right, I'll start with my very serious solution, which is to send him to space.
Amazing.
It doesn't really cool him down, but he'll be fine up there.
And
Get him out of here.
And I said, well, if you're going to send him to space, just fire him into the sun.
God wants the whole world to explode.
Yeah, you might supercharge the sun that way and cause the same problem.
And I thought that he should be airlifted to Antarctica.
Perfect.
I feel like that would melt Antarctica even faster than it already is.
Yeah, so
Be
we
a
would just be where we are
Godzilla-shaped
now
hole
in real
going
life.
down to the core of the Earth.
I was like, maybe he is the source of global warming. We need to check it out.
You need to check it out by doing it.
All along.
And
No, all the movies are like, Godzilla is this way because the world's heating up, and then it pivots on it, and it's like, no, the world's this way because of Godzilla.
As a mother, I would put him in timeout for quite a while.
10 million years. That'd be enough.
My mom had the together couch growing up with my siblings, where unless they were silent on the couch for 5 minutes together, every time they yelled or fought, they'd have to restart another 5 minutes. And she's like, I could get 2 hours out of them on that couch, just sitting there. So that could really help him out.
Smart.
She is brilliant.
I'm putting that in my classroom.
Yeah, exactly.
I put Godzilla in my home office here in the basement where I freeze no matter what the weather is outside.
It's where he needs to be. But turning to a more serious subject, how did you feel when you saw Godzilla die? This is his only, well, not only, but one of his few movie deaths, and definitely the most tragic of them.
Well, to start off, I had a bad feeling when we started this movie, so I did my worst habit that everyone hates me for, and I read the synopsis on Wikipedia ahead of time to emotionally prepare myself. But it was pretty brutal.
It was very sad. But I thought this scene, I don't recall which movie it is, Ryan, where it snows on him and he goes to sleep, dies. I don't know what's happening. But I thought that was much more heart-wrenching than...
It's true. That is the most heart-wrenching Godzilla scene, when he cuddles with Minya in the snow. That's a classic.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a second place. It's quite gruesome too, as Sam pointed out. It's a lot like Raiders of the Lost Ark, with the flesh melting off the bones.
Oh, I hated when his spines were melting. It grossed me out.
That was all the ice cream Lauren fed him.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't so sad. I was a little sad because any ending makes an old softy like me sad anymore. But it's like what you said earlier, Ryan. It's not the same Godzilla through different universes and different narratives. So this Godzilla, I felt like it was just one of a million in the meta Godzilla verse. And also I knew that I saw that Junior absorbed Godzilla's essence, which is an old Mothra trick. So he really wasn't gone. He was just transitioned, and Now, if it had been the same Godzilla from Son of Godzilla, and I knew it was the same universe and he really did die, I'd been really sad. That would have been really tough.
That's true. If it was all the same Godzilla, it definitely hit harder. What about you, Sam and Joanna? How did you feel?
I think because we have seen him, die in a few various forms up to now, and I think also mainly because Junior was in the film. I think because I felt this like, oh, well, he died, but there's still the story there's still this character we can continue him on. I think it didn't hit as sad as more like, whoa, this is some freaky stuff they're doing to kill him. I'm also, like if King Kong was up there melting, probably tears, not the original King Kong, again, the newer one, but I was interesting to watch. But yeah, when you meant dead, like totally dead, no form of him existing ever again. So when Junior was in the film, I was like, well, we're kind of still going with it, like you guys were saying. This is kind of a fake death. But don't tell Godzilla because we're at the funeral right now.
Yeah, I agree with Joanna.
Yeah, exactly.
Agree with Joanna. I think it was. I thought his death was pretty cool, and I enjoyed I kind of enjoyed watching him melt. I'm not gonna lie, not in in a mean way. Well, hear me out. Because I was just like, oh, this is cool. We're seeing some cool stuff. I haven't seen this before. I don't feel much for these. It's not a secret that I don't feel much for these 90s ones. And even I felt like this was, in a weird way, maybe the most fitting conclusion to this run, that it was still like an incredibly average to mediocre movie. And he went out on that note. But he melted, and then, it was chill. I thought that was cool.
I will say that a more serious movie, horror, science fiction movie, where the main character starts the movie in agony and remains in agony throughout, and then has that kind of ending, would actually be pretty powerful. If you think about it.
Yeah, it's a really strong idea. Just the execution is not there. But as a longtime Godzilla fan, I do feel a twinge of sadness when he goes. Even if it's not the most beloved one, just it's very sad, especially because he goes thinking his son is dead. Like that's the real dagger in the heart.
Yeah. Ryan, if you didn't think it was sad, I'd be like, get off this show. You're kicked off. You're not allowed to put on the pod. Yeah. What a fraud. But that I didn't think about that his son, But I guess I just don't see him in that large of an emotional capacity. But maybe I will. How
judgmental. Just because you don't see him.
Even the characters in the movie saw that. They said he was grieving and crying, and he was.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you think?
So heartbreaking when he was giving those little breaths of life to try to bring him back.
Yeah, he was giving him CPR. I said that when we were watching it.
I choose to believe that when he finally melted down, his essence joined with Junior's, and they were together, and they both knew they were okay.
Okay. Real quick, dear family, where would you assign this movie in Godzilla Heaven, Hell, or Purgatory, and why?
I think it's in heaven. It has strong emotional capacity, and it has this finality that makes me wonder, and I don't even know the history, was this the final one in a certain era or franchise? Because the way they did it narratively, it felt that way, and it had that weight. So I think it has a high place.
It was.
I'm putting it in Purgatory because I didn't think it had the emotional pull of some of the earlier films. I don't think they gave Godzilla his due for all he has done for the Japanese people through the years. All the monsters he's had to fight and battle for them. And yet they're still terrified of him and want to kill him. So, yeah, I put it in Purgatory. Not the best, not the worst.
Okay.
I can't think of a Godzilla movie I'd put anywhere but in heaven. So,
yeah.
So it's heaven.
Well, what did you like about it? Just say one thing.
I thought that the narrative was strong. Like you said, I think it just a great idea to have him melting down right from the beginning, not halfway through the movie or at the end of the movie. It was just a very powerful, terrible situation for him, and then all the other things going on just added to it. So I thought that was really cool. I thought the effects were good. I thought Destoroyah makes a really good opponent. So yeah, and I know obviously the humans gathered around and the cast and those characters was a good set compared to some others through the history of the movies.
True, not the most boring group.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
extremely mad at the scene with the news reporter in the car.
Yeah,
How
same.
dumb is she? My God.
Open the door. Where people get to
Get
laugh.
in the front seat and start the car and drive
Oh
away.
my god. Ugh.
But we didn't
Yeah,
see the part.
We've got that on the docket for another guest.
Did you
I'll save
guys
my
already talk
comment
about
then.
how that boat in the beginning of the movie has now recently actually sunk?
No, really?
Yeah, the jumbo ship, that big lit up
That's
restaurant, it sank like
Oh,
a
in
week
Hong
ago. No,
Whoa.
Wow.
it's in Japan, I think.
Is
No,
it Hong
because the
Kong?
beginning of the movie starts in
Oh,
Hong Kong.
Then yeah, that ship sank.
Yeah,
That's
So
funny.
this is about to happen for real.
yeah.
All right.
They should investigate that. It could be related.
I mean, as I've often said, if I'm going to die, I want to be killed by Godzilla. So
Well, when I log into QAnon tonight, I know what I'm going to talk about.
Oh my god.
Huh?
Oh lordy. All right. Well, family, go ahead and take a seat in the chapel. Rest your feet, congregate with the other guests.
I'm gonna start crying now, even though I
I did
wasn't
wanna-
crying before.
I did want to ask when the reading of the will is, because I'm really curious about what Godzilla might have left me.
That's
I'm sure he left you more than me. So
it's going to be next week. We don't want to, get people mixed up with financials on a sacred day like.
I get it.
All right.
How greedy.
It's crazy though that his will stipulates that in order to get any of it, we all have to stay in a haunted house. It's crazy. One night though.
A monster-sized haunted house.
Yeah, on Monster Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually a peninsula. Anyhow. Todd and Brandon, it's so good to see you here. I feel like, even though Sam and Joanna, they're converts, we were born into this church. I feel like I really need people from my community here.
Yes, it's a very special occasion.
We're just happy to be here. Wish it was for better news.
I know, it's okay. Bring it in.
It'll be okay.
It'll be all right. We got to remember the good times.
Yeah, he'll be back, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
The times when he wasn't a pile of radioactive goo in that casket over there.
It's an open casket, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're kind of regretting that decision in retrospect.
yeah, looking back.
I'm starting to get some blisters on my
Yeah,
hands.
I was gonna say, I'm starting to feel a burning sensation.
So let's talk quickly, So, what do you guys think of all the connections to the original movie in this one? Because they definitely pull a lot from classic OG Godzilla.
That's the best part about it,
Yeah.
I think. The ties to the original. I mean, the original's still the best film probably, and then this movie, it's one of my favorites because it pays so much homage to the original. You got legacy characters and all kinds of legacy ideas. They just sometimes do clip show stuff from the first film, and it's awesome
Yeah.
because I like the first movie, so that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we get another little peek at Dr. Sarazawa.
Oh, I was
with
just
his
about to
iPad.
say I loved all the flashbacks to him, and I forgot about his eye patch and something about it works
So
extra
badass.
well for him. I was like, he looks amazing. Bring him back. My crush was reborn.
For the most part, I like it. I do feel kind of bad for, I forget her name, I'm sorry, but the woman who plays Emiko, because they brought her back and then she doesn't do anything. She's
Right.
like, tell them not to
Yeah.
make another oxygen destroyer.
Yeah.
And she disappears from the movie. It's like, if you're gonna bring back such a vital character and somebody who hasn't acted in literally like 30 years, you want to make it worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
It's all maybe she just wanted to make a quick little cameo and then peace out. You know.
Yeah,
That's true.
it kind of felt like her schedule was such that she couldn't film with anyone else because she was conspicuously detached from the rest of the movie for so much of it. I felt like Portia de Rossi in the recent seasons of Arrested Development.
Yeah. I do find it to be a weirdly tragic turn to find out she never married Ogata and was just like alone the rest of her life.
I was wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense though, considering how horrible of a circumstance she lived through. But you'd think you'd want somebody to help you through those tough times. It's definitely depressing to find that out. But at least she has her niece and nephew to hang out with, watch TV with.
And
Be
they're
in
very
a
busy.
room.
Yeah. So to jump to something a little more upbeat, though, what is your favorite part of the final battle, you guys? Because that is one of the better parts of the movie for sure, is the final Destoroyah confrontation. But what really stands out to you?
Well, when I recently rewatched it, and I one thing that really stood out to me was I really like the part where Godzilla just like wails into Destoroyah, like he just keeps breathing his atomic breath at him over and over and over again, and there's just explosions everywhere, and he's just like annihilating him.
That is pretty badass, and there's like chunks of his face flying
Yeah.
off. Yeah. That is a good bit.
I loved the melting jawline. Like something about the jawline melting really, really. I guess that's a little post battle, but I think too, just Junior being carried was so sad, but also so silly looking. Like sad, but a little silly.
I know, he looked so tiny.
I
You
know.
really feel bad
Oh my god.
for him.
And then when Destoroyah was fucking dragging Godzilla for like a long period of time, I was like, this is a very fun, interesting move for you to be pulling. Not using any of your real skills besides just dragging him along in the dirt.
That airport takeoff shot was really funny.
Yeah.
Where they kind of show the airport and everyone's sort of there, and then he comes into frame, Destoroyah like taking off with Godzilla. It was really cute.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. He's coming right down the runway.
I think it's a visual gag. I think they're trying to have a little joke there.
I agree.
I hope so.
Because it's right down the runway. I gotta go with the moment when his heart explodes, because I guess mine does too when that happens.
Yeah, actually, if you pause and frame through it, you can see the exact moment when his heart explodes. It's a very specific Simpsons reference.
And it's like a glitter bomb, which is awesome. That's like the most fun part, is that it's like it's almost like it's like a Mothra moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this series, the Heisei series, has a tradition of moments where glitter is inexplicably in the air, and I'm glad to see that it
Love
continues.
it. It's like when I was at the Coldplay concert.
I was gonna say, often in tragic moments, it's like tragic glitter.
Tragedy glitter. It's like that. What's that substance in Twin Peaks that's like a symbol of loathing and hatred?
Garmenbosia.
Yeah, thank you, Garmenbosia.
Yeah, the glitter is the Garmenbosia of the Godzilla universe.
It truly is.
It's like magic stuff.
My favorite, I mentioned this earlier with another guest, so I'll keep it brief, but it's when the Destroyer breaks down into the little aggregates again, because we rarely see Godzilla fighting like a bunch of little dudes, but they're like crawling all over him and biting him. I thought that was a cool visual.
Yeah. The close-ups are so good. The wides are fucking amazing because there's like so much going on in them the whole time. There's a part in the beginning, I don't know if it counts for like the fight, but they think he's like dead or something, and then Destoroyah like kind of opens up his wings, and it looks like Satan from Fantasia. Like it's really terrifying. It's a really great shot.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that one
That
up.
was a good one.
That's one of my favorite shots ever. Like it just looks like Satan personified as a kaiju.
So cool.
Yeah. I was saying this earlier too, but even though there's not a ton of personality to Destoroyah, he manages to have enough cool factor to paper over it, and I like how he looks. I guess he is kind of sadistic. That's his one personality trait.
He immediately goes for the kid.
Yeah, exactly. As another guest said earlier, you just know Destoroyah's a bad dude when he goes after Junior, because Junior is adorable.
And also Akira Ifukube's theme for Destoroyah, like you instantly know how, I guess it has like an evil feel to it, like very bombastic and
It does.
impersonal.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. The opening cue is great too when he's going through Hong Kong. But no, Ifubuke, I always feel bad he didn't get to do the full medley like he wanted to at the end, but I do like the mix-up of the classic Godzilla theme and the King Kong versus Godzilla one, which is the one... Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the one he was most proud of, so I guess that's why he went with it. But to jump back on something you said a couple minutes ago, Todd, how did you guys feel when Godzilla died at that moment of certainly his most explicit death in the series?
Devastated.
I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. I was a little kid when I saw this movie, and I shed some tears when Godzilla died. Like, it was my hero, you know? It's like never fun to see them die. Like, for the first real time, too. Like, the tagline of the movie was Godzilla dies. So the whole movie is like grandiose just for that subject matter alone. And when it finally happens and you have the Requiem music from Akira Ifukube, it's just a beautiful piece of music, and I think it's just a really well executed scene.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about how some of the setup is not as good as it could be, but in the actual moment, I feel like they do everything right. So it's still, even in a vacuum, it has that hit, and it always gives me a twinge of sadness. What about you, Todd?
Grandiose is a really great word for the film because it is kind of like a celebration, you know? That scene's sad. It's beautiful as well, like you said, you know? But the feeling, because you asked the question, like, what's the feeling that you have? Honor? I feel like it's like a military funeral or something in a cinematic sense. Reverence is what I feel. It feels like a celebration of like my hero too. It's just I feel like I want to like stand up and like put my hand over my heart or something and lay something down, you know, pour one out, like whatever. I just feel I can't believe that you saw this in theaters though, and you knew going in that he died. That was not my experience. So I saw this film later in life. I don't know how this would have struck me when I was a child.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, it definitely hits harder because, you know, your imagination's more in it, your heart's more in it, but still it has an impact.
Yeah, the music, you nailed it. The music is my favorite. It's why it's like my second or third favorite Godzilla film, because the music at the end, and then they do like the credits are really fun because it's kind of like, remember when Godzilla came up over that hill? Remember when Godzilla like exploded this thing? Like it just does this really funny greatest hits kind of thing, and it's almost like standing over the casket and talking about it or something.
Yeah, that's that. The credits are played over the slideshow that we're playing at this wake.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, look at that.
That's right there.
It's right there.
Oh, Godzilla.
It's funny, in the original TriStar release, they cut the whole credits. So
They did, really?
yeah, all they did is show Godzilla loom
Wow.
over the hill, and then it fades to black, and the end. That's it.
Mistake.
Yeah, mistake.
But yeah, I figured this is the right time to get into the production history a little bit. I saved it for you guys. And I find it most interesting some of the alternate ideas they were going to go for, because they knew this was the end of the series. They wanted to do something big. And I wanted to tell Sam and Joanna about this. And maybe this is new to you guys too. But anyway, I want to hear your thoughts on, like, would it have been better? Would it have been worse? Like, what would you have liked more about them? So the first one is looking back to their biggest Godzilla commercial success ever. Toho wanted to do a new King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they asked Universal what the licensing fee would be. And
Probably pretty low, right?
It was practically the entire budget of the movie. So that didn't get very far, but they were like, all right, what if we used Mechani Kong from King Kong Escapes? And we could have a robot Kong, and he would, like, inject people into Godzilla to like fight inside his body, like Fantastic Voyage style.
Hell yeah, that would have been so cool.
Yeah. But then they ran that one by Universal too, and they're like, no, we'd still charge you the entire license.
Kong, yeah.
I think
I
that'd be
love
a
that.
really
What
good
if he's a
setup.
robot version? Yeah.
I think it's a great setup for a ride, you know, if they would build, I would imagine in that universe, they'd build a giant Godzilla that you could go inside of, just like the movie.
That would be
awesome.
amazing.
Funnily enough,
My
not the
dreams.
first. Wouldn't have been the first time that they injected shrunken people into a kaiju's body. They've done
I
that.
know.
Yeah, they've done that in a Gamera movie back in the 70s. So
Wow.
Yeah, stealing from his underdog rival, as we were talking about in our Gamera episode last time. But yeah, Brandon, what do you think of that idea? Or either of them, I guess. I guess that's two.
for King Kong, I guess it would have been kind of cool, but for a like end of the series movie, I don't know. With both those ideas, I think the mechanical one sounds a little more interesting, but I like what they went with eventually, because I like that it's connected to the 54 film and the Oxygen Destroyer. I think it's more appropriate for a film about Godzilla's death than those
Yep.
concepts.
Yeah, it is more thematic in that way. The only thing I'm like, like to see like a practical effects King Kong versus Godzilla that would have been made in like the 80s or 90s. That's like
Yeah.
one of my deep nerd desires. So it would have fulfilled that, but yeah, just without knowing anything else about what they were planning to do, definitely not as like momentous a finale.
Just curious side tangent. Have you ever seen the cover for King Kong versus Godzilla, like the VHS cover?
Like the old Good Times video? Yeah. I
It
have.
has the 84 Godzilla and the 76 King Kong on the cover, and it's like that's kind of the version that you're thinking of. It's like, yeah, that would have been cool to see. It's actually disappointing when you see the actual movie, when you see that cover. When I was a kid, I was like, that looks cool, and then you see the final movie, and it's like, doesn't really look like what the cover looks like.
Oh, no. Yeah, you get droopy eye King Kong.
I stayed away from that movie for a really long time. I watched it when I was a kid, I think, and I think the reason why is because I was duped as well by the cover. And I watched the film and I hated it because I was just like, that was silly. Besides the tree moment, because that's cool.
Well, it's my personal favorite. It's the first one I ever saw, so not a disappointment to me. But I know what you're talking about. I know that exact cover. I was obsessed with it. But in the other concept they had was a little more thematic. It was basically Godzilla versus Ghost Godzilla. So it was going to be the modern Godzilla fighting the resurrected spirit of the original one that died to the Oxygen Destroyer, which had at least in some drafts, possessed Junior's body, so he would have to be fighting his own son.
I love this. Crazy.
is-
I love it.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
Add in a child, and I'm fucking sold. Have a child talking to the ghost. I'm ready for it. Put a cute backpack on the kid. It's rock and
It's
roll.
It's the ghost of the kid from All Monsters Attack.
Ichiro.
Ichiro shows up and he's like, yeah, no, those bank robbers got me. In the end, they came back. Released from prison, came back, got their revenge, but now I am a ghost.
I was actually dead the whole time, and that was my dreams.
Thank you so much for being here, my friends. Go ahead and go into the chapel, view the body if you don't mind getting some more blisters.
You have hazmat suits?
Hell yeah. In the back. Suit up.
Sweet.
They're used, but go for it.
The burning is worth it if I can pay my respects.
Yeah. Just give him a soft little kiss on his melted forehead.
Pull some of your lip skin off if you do that.
Become
Oh my
one
God.
Godzilla.
Yes. Yeah.
Literally. Well, again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Will, Matt, good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us all. We really appreciate it.
I brought this casserole.
I'm really glad to be here. I brought fried chicken as is customary.
Delicious.
Unfortunately, I brought fried chicken casserole, so there's a little bit of an overlap here. We should talk about it.
Sounds like one of you has to go.
All right, this has been fun, guys, but I'll see you later.
Yeah, hey, good seeing you. Check back in next month.
Try.
I'm still here, so you know I cared about him more.
It's not a contest. Look, we're all here to love, to share, to cry it out.
I just can't believe he died like that. Looked like a cokehead.
Now, I feel like I would maybe we brought the same food, but I don't know if we're approaching this in the same way. I'm intending not to shame Godzilla for getting owned spectacularly.
I don't know, man. Did you see that white stuff on him? Like, what was up with that?
Yeah, that was planted by the cops.
Yeah, it's not his.
Sir, these aren't my pants.
Speaking of which, what did you guys feel about this iteration of Godzilla? Like how he looked, his vibe. How do you feel about burning Godzilla?
I like burning Godzilla, or as I call him, dying cokehead Godzilla, quite a bit, at least from a design perspective. As a story thing, it gets a little repetitive, but when he starts melting and nuclear light starts flashing out of his wounds, that's really cool. I dug that.
Yeah, I got some Wizard of Oz vibes.
But yeah, I think he looks really cool. Obviously, this is a beloved Godzilla look. I feel bad for him. It's clear he's in pain. Ken Satsuma, who's the suit actor, projects that very well, that he's like not comfortable at all with what's going on. He's just he's got the worst poison ivy rash ever, and he's lashing out for it.
I loved Frozen Godzilla. That version of him with the red eyes. I thought that was particularly fun looking, even though I know we kept coming back to it. They're like, freeze him again! But I was happy to watch it every time.
The China syndrome, more like the Japan syndrome.
Is this segment just going to be all wordplay?
Everybody mourns differently, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm trying to process
sorry.
this in my own way.
They grieve different.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have shamed you for it. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
This is a safe place, guys. We just lost our big daddy.
Makes me consider what if Godzilla had been in Big Daddy.
Oh my god. And that was fun.
He just pees on that wall, and the whole wall just like gets whisked away in a flood-like torrent of Godzilla piss. Oh man, I miss him so much.
I was thinking of the same exact thing because I've never seen the movie, so all I know is the poster or the video box. I'm
You've never seen Big Daddy?
no,
Watch it
I
tonight.
do not like Adam Sandler. I'm sorry.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
I haven't seen it either.
That's the only way that it is not appropriate to grieve.
Guys, how can you watch Riverdale if you've
I'm
never seen Cole Sprouse
besmirching-
as a child? Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, it's kind of interesting how the movie frames the problem. Like, for once, it's not like, how are we gonna, like, kill Godzilla the monster or whatever threat of the week there is. It's more like, we've just got to take care of him, because if he gets too hot, he's going to kill everything. So they're coming at it from, like, a very, like, scientific perspective. But it's more interesting in theory, I feel like, because people don't want to watch movies on how to cool down a nuclear reactor.
Yeah, it's better when he has a big dino personality.
Oh, a nuclear reactor. I was gonna say I could think of another instance where, hey, Godzilla's gonna explode was actually really compelling. But no, I don't know if I'd want to watch a movie about just shutting down a nuke reactor. That is true.
Yeah.
You know what I liked? I liked that when he started getting closer to meltdown, he didn't like turn Super Saiyan. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he just melted like the Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I was so
He really
worried
did.
that it was like, oh, because he's closer to death, he'll become more powerful, like some anime nonsense.
Another 20 minutes, right.
Yeah, I'm glad that it just was like, no, it's literally killing him. And when people, I mean, I know
looked
it's
pretty
really fresh in our
uncomfortable.
mind. He's look, we're at his funeral. He was dying, and when people are dying, they tend not to get stronger.
Exactly.
It's very true. I think that is actually important to help try to get across the mournfulness of when he does die. That it's not like he's getting amped up. He's like clearly like he's very sick, the poor guy. What are you guys gonna miss about Godzilla now that he's gone? What are you gonna miss?
Honestly, I short the Japanese stock market every 3 or 4 years at roughly a Godzilla interval.
Ooh, that's wise.
I've found that has been a successful policy so far. Gonna have to just short things that have to do with markers of democracy and women's health in America. That.
I've never been trolled on my own podcast before. Matt, what about you?
For me, I'm gonna miss those thighs. Cradle me in your thighs, Godzilla. Let me lay my head down and catnap with you in Godzilla heaven.
Honestly,
I miss you so much.
I also got to go with the thighs.
Is that
Honestly,
why you
it's a
both
good
brought?
choice.
Is that why you both brought fried chicken thighs to this week?
Well, I brought fried chicken thighs. I don't know what the hell Will's
I
doing with
brought
that abomination over
fried
there.
chicken thigh casserole. Now,
We're finding our similarities amongst our differences. This is
Nope.
really exciting. It's bringing us
Godzilla
together.
always bringing us together. Real quick, would you guys put this movie in Godzilla heaven, hell, or purgatory?
First time that he actually dies, so we literally get
wow.
to do this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Wow.
That's true.
Guys, what if Godzilla was in What Dreams May Come? Because this is in Godzilla heaven, baby.
Matt?
I put him in Godzilla Purgatory. There's some great ideas. There's a lot of stuff I like, but it's like flashes of brilliance that pull me away from my phone, and then I go, oh no, it's going back to being kind of slow and plodding.
Thank you guys for being here. Go ahead and, mill around, find your seats for the service.
Take a cookie.
and- yeah, we'll be with you in a moment.
All
I'll
right.
set out the fried chicken, maybe throw the casserole in the trash.
All right. I
Thank you
will-
so much.
Okay, so you are going to take sides on this. I understand. That's fine. All right.
You guys can sort your problems out together,
Okay.
and we'll
I'll
catch
throw
up
my
with you
own
in a bit.
fucking funeral. For God's-
We'll catch you at that one.
Yeah.
Or you could just throw yourself in the casket and be buried with it.
That solves a lot of my problems, actually.
Well, it's so good to see you guys. Kat, Charlotte says thank you for being here. It means a lot to us.
Thanks for having us.
Honored.
Oh, perfect. Yes,
Yeah,
please. You brought it.
absolutely.
Your haiku, amazing.
Okay, here it is. Beloved and hated, I'm sorry your bro replaced you. Destroy the beyond.
Wow.
It was very
Epic.
deep.
That one cuts right into your soul.
That's a thinker. I got to think on that one.
The syllables sounded right when I wrote it. Hopefully they sounded correct this time. But yes, yeah, I think that sums it up, how I feel.
Kat, how did you feel about Godzilla's death?
Yeah, I would say I can't say I was surprised, but that's the cycle of life. So I'll read my haiku, I guess, because I wrote it.
Please.
It says, a real one you were, Godzilla. Well, I barely knew her. Damn.
Wow. Wow. That's like some slam poetry.
Yeah, that's
I was
great.
gonna say, is that a haiku or is that Christopher Walken's thoughts that you just transcribed?
Matt earlier was saying how maybe Godzilla was just going through menopause instead of all this shit everyone was throwing on, so it all feels very relevant, tying it all together.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Seth, do you have a haiku to share? I didn't know if everyone would go for it. Yeah.
Yes, I do have one, but I decided to take the path of more of a homage to the last, the final hurrah of Godzilla.
Right.
So like a summary of the beautiful film that we've watched. So mine reads very horrendously. Spider taser tongue, hot Godzilla summer fun, lethal oxygen. So it's a bit more like, I don't know, not great. But
no, I love it.
I just felt like the whole time I was watching it, I was like, get it, Godzilla in your lava bikini. Because that's all I could see the whole time.
Well, okay. I love it. We're throwing it on the film poster for when we relaunch it for just a summer quick regroup.
Yeah.
And also, we had a haiku earlier that didn't it start, Ryan, with Hot Girl Summer?
I was just going to say,
Amazing.
eerily, people are seeing that Godzilla just wants to have fun.
Yeah, we're all in like one
revolutionary.
psychic loop.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's aligned. I had a casting question too. We had 3 ladies in this film, which is rare. We're not always getting that. But of the 3 women in the film that were the leads, which ones who would you guys choose to play? If it was Miki or Yukari, the reporter, or Miru, the, other awesome member of G-Force.
I would love to be the pilot in the aviator sunglasses.
Amazing.
Just very badass, very 90s. I loved it.
As much as, Miki's like psychic abilities does speak to my woo-woo soul, I think I would have to go with Yukari the reporter, because when her coworker told her that you're very direct and straightforward and you should watch out for your love life with that, it hit my soul. I really just felt that part in that moment, so I think it would be really cathartic.
I went for Meru purely because, like, there's 2 or 3 are psychics, so you got to pick one of them. They have more fun, and I thought I would, maybe take a little bit more of a change to the role and blend in some That's So Raven campness and make the sort of psychic ability more obvious. When I first saw, I don't even know which one it was. I was trying to keep track and I was looking at hats, but then they were both wearing hats at the same time, so I was getting a little confused. But one of them that's in the helicopter was it a helicopter or a plane? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And she shut her eyes for a second. I went, is she asleep? What is she doing? And then it clicked that she was having a vision. So I just want some of that old childhood nostalgia. Look off to the side.
So just turn directly to camera and we zoom into your eye.
Oh, amazing. I just love thinking about when Raven did that in her audition and how it wowed everyone when she was a child. I always think about that. I would pick Miru as well because I feel like the hats, the outfits, I'm always really in it who has the best outfits is key for me. And I was very there for the berets. And then I just loved the when Miki was getting a little, sentimental, and she was like, sentimentalism has no place. With or without you, I will look to modify his trajectory. I was into it. I was like, she's fucking taking control. She's kind of a bitch, and she'd be so much fun to play.
Yeah, it's definitely like two different approaches to working in the Godzilla workplace.
100%.
The sensitive, accommodating approach, and the nope, gotta get this shit done approach. But they came to respect each other at them.
Right, because they all got to save the world. And then for Yukari, the reporter, did you guys have any thoughts on that scene when she was trying to get out of the car?
She seemed very low key about it. She was not a lot of screaming. She seemed sort of passive. Seemed like, oh, this again. Okay.
She was so blasé. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, have you been in this situation multiple times?
I was like, her fight or flight is nothing.
Freeze. It's freeze, I think. Yeah.
Fight. Yeah.
Well, and maybe they could have helped her out too. Like, I didn't see a moment. Maybe the moment was there where she tried to open the door but didn't. But in my mind, I just didn't see her try to open the door, not a single one time, to run out the other side. And or Ryan's mom earlier was like, drive the car, get in the front seat, turn the car. Like, it was difficult to watch, honestly.
Maybe she was trying to gather some psychic abilities of her own.
Yeah.
And that's what really kept Destoroyah
I had the
away.
same thought because she looked like she was having a sleep.
Right.
Fine, I'll just have a nap.
See, because when that thing is an inch from your face, like, you're going to have a heart attack and die. You're not, I don't know. That was one of the crazier scenes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I did kind of like the alien reference, sort of, with the...
Yeah.
That was where my spider taser tongue came out, because it was like this weird projectile that then buzzed at her. I'm like, maybe that'll bring some life into her. A little electric shock. Come on. Tell me something.
I was just thinking that how, the Destoroyah has a sense of dramatic tension, because he's like, no, I'm not going to shoot my oxygen beam into the car. If I can't get her with the mouth, I'm not going to get her at all.
Yeah, I had a little moment of, are they going to have the same kind of Godzilla Miki connect of like, oh no, it's just because I was like, are they having a love moment? What is going on in this car?
Yeah, there was some sexual tension there for sure. When he was moving his head side to side, I was like, oh, is this like a mating call? Like, what's happening?
It was so odd. All of it. Okay, yeah. I'm glad we're all aligned.
Honestly, I mean, she probably has more sexual tension with Destoroyah than the doctor guy that she goes out on a date with.
Yeah, there was none there. No love. Guys, okay, first of all, Super X3 pilot, attractive man. Would you rather, okay, you get to date whoever, Oscar Isaac in the Star Wars franchise, him flying a flying contraption, or Masahiro Takashima as Major Sho in this film? Who would you pick? Like, if you had to date one of them?
I felt I would want to date the one in Godzilla, just for practicality, because he lives on Earth in semi-modern times.
That's true.
It just seems easier, and he was very attractive.
Right.
So that's my pick, personally.
Counterpoint to that, actually, Charlotte, the Earth we've got not a lot of time left, so having someone that already knows how to navigate
a visa situation.
That's right.
An intergalactic visa.
That's right. Plus his jawline. I mean, come on.
This was a tough choice, to be honest, and I felt very indifferent to both because both have a very similar amount of character.
Oh yeah.
I felt on default Poe, but purely because in real life, I think Oscar Isaac has a bit of salt and pepper going on now. And I'm biased because my partner has very much salt and pepper hair. So I'm like, I got to represent, bringing in those millionaire grays. The diamond highlights, as people like to say.
Oh, I love that. Diamond highlights. Yeah.
So mine's purely superficial.
Right. No, I think I would just take them both. And to your point of they have no real character to them, I'll just bring enough character for all three of us. And then just have them both in my life, have one on Earth, one in space. And that'll be my kind of setup.
Actually, that is a great situation to be able to juggle both. They would never find out about each other.
No, never
You're
will
an
find out.
intergalactic boy, and you're Earth boy.
And I'm just an intergalactic reporter.
Be a very sitcom premise, like Three's Company. Oh, which handsome pilot's gonna show up?
Exactly.
Well, my reasoning is also very superficial. It's incredibly hot right now. So I'm like, set me in front of that Super X freezing ray, buddy. Just to get that going.
You're just
I'd go
in
on a
it.
date with Show.
Yeah, you're just in it for what he brings to the table, the assets he brings.
Yeah, I'm a sugar baby in this situation. And my sugar is freezing temperature.
It's cryogenic blasters. Yeah, Ryan, do you want to ask the...
Yes, of course. Last but not least, where would you guys place this movie in the Godzilla canon? Would it be heaven, hell, or purgatory?
That is, look. Now, I only have 2 Godzilla films to go off. This one and the other one, which I've already forgotten the name of. But personally...
I've forgotten the name of all of them, basically.
The other one had lots of turtlenecks and a lot of weird, almost campy, absurdist fun in it, and I felt like I enjoyed that more. The, like, lower budget, for some reason, sold it for me. And this one felt higher budget, but also, I don't know, maybe the reporter I was like, just give me something. You're in this a lot. Can I get any emotion out of you, please? So I'm going to, well, and also for the sheer fact, poor little Godzilla, the fact that we are here today, gathering around his poor corpse, I'm going to say hell.
Oh, strong
You're our
words.
first hell of the day, actually.
Really?
First
Yes.
one.
Oh, no.
No, we love it. We love it. The hot debate.
I've actually been surprised at how many people have said heaven, though. So.
Oh, Ryan, bearing the lead. Or wait, I don't know phrases.
That's the first hint I've let slip. But anyway, Kat, please tell us how you felt.
I'm gonna go purgatory because that's the easy neutral answer. You know, there were some exciting moments. I liked the grandson. He really was just a fun spirit.
His khaki shorts.
I liked his Santa Barbara t-shirt.
Yeah, the 90s Apple logo in the first scene he was in.
The room.
Yeah, I loved his whole setup. I loved that he was like, absolutely not. And then he was like, yeah, all right. I really connected with that.
He was very thirsty for Miki Sugu.
So thirsty.
Yeah. Basically, all my answers have just been about like sexual tension, romance, who's getting with who. So I feel like we could have gone further with it. And that's why it's a purgatory, because there was lots of little potential that I enjoyed. But I think across the board, it just could have been upped.
Yeah. I feel like we see that a lot with the characters in these films. We're always like, they had characters, then they didn't really have that much for them, to them. So
right.
As Sam likes to say, it's a legacy problem. But Charlotte, please.
Yes, I guess I will go heaven. I liked the Power Ranger vibes I was getting throughout, like the fight. I don't know, that was the energy that I was getting. I do think it was a valiant send-off. I liked that the credits like ended with the sort of, the look back on his life. So, thank you for everything you gave us, Godzilla. May you move on to pastures full of buildings to destroy.
We'll see you again with Matthew Broderick in 1990.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I know he's coming back. It's like, don't worry, dude. You got,
Okay, Joanna, I forgot when this was relevant. I'm so sorry. But the security guard in this movie is humming Singing in the Rain.
No, he's not.
He is. And the 98 version opens with Matthew Broderick singing in the Rain.
Is that the guy with the fish man?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Or maybe I did and I forgot. But wow, I love that connect. I love a good Broadway musical connect.
I definitely noticed his humming, and I definitely noticed him pointing the torch inside the lit fish tank. That was strange to me. I was like, you're not doing nothing but making glare for yourself, my guy. You're canceling it out.
Yeah, we were talking about him earlier, how that's a very Scooby-Doo moment. Like he's just walking around with the flashlight right next to his face.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. You can go ahead and go into the chapel, weep, give your last message to Godzilla.
Yeah. Charlotte, did you bring a casserole for the funeral?
Yeah, I brought a traditional Idaho casserole with tater tots on it.
Amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the first one to that platter.
Yeah. And then I made a Godzilla out of tater tots to put on top.
Wow. And was the ketchup, little ketchup blood? We love it.
Or lava, your choice.
Right, right.
Oh, Jess is here. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Jess. We really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't miss it. Godzilla meant a lot to me.
Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about how this has affected you?
Oh yeah. I mean, Godzilla, I didn't know him personally. He was more of a mentor. This is like a celeb death for me. Yeah. And because of that, it is all about me.
Exactly.
I've done many tweets about it with all the appropriate hashtags, trying to get as many eyeballs my way to my grief over the death of Godzilla. So I'm just, it's been really hard. I always dreamed of, seeing him live. And now that's never going to happen.
Hey, when you're tweeting about his death, you think you could name drop our pod? That'd be really helpful, too, for our listeners.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes. Well, I have made appearances on Godzillavangelists. And, if you want to hear what I have to say about Godzilla even more, that's a great place to go.
Perfect. This grief is working well for us.
No, it's really important that in this Twitter age, any celebrity death is used for personal promotion or gain. Like, I haven't been this sad since the death of Alan Thicke, which was really tragic for me, but he was a big inspiration.
Because nobody knew who he was, and you couldn't get any clout off, right?
Right.
Poor Godzilla. Although, really, Joanna, would you like to pose this question? Because this is one that you've mentioned a lot of what Godzilla is he your good or bad guy?
Oh yeah, like, what's your opinion, Jess? Is he good? Is he bad? Because I'm always confused because everyone's like, he's good, but then he still, at the beginning of the movie, was destroying shit and killing people. So I always feel like his narrative is very foggy, and it's to each their own to decide how they feel about it.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, I think ultimately Godzilla is, he's pretty primal, animalistic. He goes off his instincts, what he needs to do to survive. I do love that at the very beginning of the movie it's just right into Godzilla. Almost no wait to see that guy just wrecking a major metropolis. And I think personally for me, he is a hero of mine. So I do see him as good. I see him as a force. He's just listening to his body and to his mind and saying, what do I need to do for me? And that's something I think that we can all appreciate. If we just stay, in our lane saying, what's the basics of what I need, then we'll be okay.
And I mean, really, if you're calling him bad in this movie, it's kind of victim blaming because he didn't choose to get super irradiated.
It's true.
He's a sick person in pain. He's just trying to figure his shit out. He knows he only has so much time to live.
He's just trying to get through it.
He doesn't get a lot of support either from the government or others. They're just like, well, better freeze him. Which, luckily, they're like, oh, we should probably freeze him. They're like, oh, we have the exact plane for this. Also, all of our tanks and flamethrowers can easily be converted to ice mode. It's like that Spyro game where he loses his fire breath but has ice breath. It's just very convenient. Spyro Season of Ice, I want to say.
That's a great comparison.
The only time they reference it is when that hot pilot, they're like, bring out the jet again, X3, and he's like, here goes our budget for next year.
Yeah, and then he just responds to himself, like, if there is a next year.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite characters. I have to say.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like I had a really different reaction to all that than you did, or maybe even intended, because all I thought was all these government freeze rays and jet freeze beams is basically government-sponsored healthcare. And I just kind of got wistful. I was like, I mean, look at this. Look at Godzilla getting the care he needs and the government providing it. I'm jealous.
It's true.
That's true. They do spend a good amount of time trying to save Godzilla until ultimately being like, no, let's just destroy him with this other monster that showed up. And what we do with the other monster, we don't have a plan.
Deal with him next.
To kick it down the road.
Yeah.
To problem for the next generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, what did you think of Destoroyah? And would you start a cult worshipping him?
Destoroyah's a bad dude. I think there's no denying that. Whereas Godzilla, I think it's sort of up to what he's doing day to day, what, the impact he has on the world. Destoroyah is just destroying everything. I love that it takes them very long to name him, even though it's pretty obvious once they mention the oxygen destroyer, what's gonna happen. But yeah, he's, that's an ugly little dude. He's a bunch of little dudes, and then he gets bigger, and then he gets bigger, and then he gets smaller little dudes again, and then he gets big one more time.
I loved him as those little dudes scurrying around. Something about them all scurrying and then all running into that building together was very satisfying for me. Maybe because it didn't quite have but what is that movie that's set like in the Arctic? Is it The Thing? Where there's just like that. I don't know why I got not the same vibes, but some kind of similar-esque going on there. And he also, shout out for anyone in the crowd who has seen the Snow White offshoot film, Happily Ever After. He seemed straight like a villain that could be out of that very C-rated film.
Oh, man.
Ryan,
what a strange comparison.
What? Happily Ever After?
To Happily Ever After. I would not think of Destoroyah being in that.
If you look at like a toy or a drawing of him, he kind of looks like one of the little gargoyles that fly around.
Okay. I forgot there were gargoyles in that movie.
I love then they have the footage, the grainy footage in the aquarium of a little speck, It's like between frames, and then they're like, they get to the ultra intense 3D model. That was beyond. That was really beyond, I think, anything I've seen. And you've seen some egregious examples of that, especially in American CSI media, its own genre. Right. But yeah, it was really impressive. Japan is years ahead of us.
Yeah. This little red streak to like electron scanning microscope quality.
Listen, with their toilet seats and their phones too, we're just way behind.
Also, Destoroyah, I'm sorry, when he was picking on Junior, that's obviously a bad guy. Because Junior's just a sweet little baby with his little squeaky Godzilla cry. I love him so much. He was like my cat in that he's squeaky and he didn't like getting picked up.
Same. Also like my cat. So cute.
Cats also don't like being dropped from like 500 feet in the air into a baseball stadium.
They'd probably land on their feet though. In that case.
Right.
Which Junior did not, and that's a shame.
Wait, Ryan, what did you think of Destoroyah? Were you into him?
I like Destoroyah. For some reason, he works where Space Godzilla doesn't, as like the traditional badass villain. I think the big devil form is cool. How he can like slash Godzilla up with his laser horn. And I think the scene where they're like not like the tiny crab monsters, but like the small-ish ones, and they're crawling all over him and like biting him and shit. That was cool. That's something we haven't seen before in these movies, is like Godzilla getting swarmed by smaller monsters. So that was a new dynamic that I liked seeing in battle. He obviously doesn't have much personality outside of like, I want to kill things, but
want to destroy
pretty cool.
ya.
Yeah. Hey, I want to destroy ya.
Yeah, I had two thoughts on his appearance. Yeah. He was cool. That's the first thought. I didn't like, in his final form, I didn't like his like transformer legs, like his kind of like thick feet legs. I didn't like that. That felt like some anime nonsense to me. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I wish, it's funny Joanna said The Thing, because I wish it took more of a cue from The Thing and his like super forms, medium-sized and large-sized, looked more like they were somehow assembled from a bunch of little ones that all mutated together. Like, I wish there was more of that. Like, it just feels like he's just a big different dude instead of like he's this horrible like patchwork of a million little crabs that he like somehow there's like eyes sticking out of his side somewhere, and like just have some fun with it.
Yeah, I can see that. They kept the connections pretty light with like the tail and face shape, but yeah, I wish they'd leaned more into that. That's a cool idea.
It'd be creepy to have all those little legs sticking out.
Yeah.
Scurrying. Wouldn't like that.
That is very thing. And taking a page from a very interesting line of dialogue in this movie.
Oh my god.
Jess, as a modern woman, would you rather dedicate yourself to Godzilla or have a normal life with a husband and kids?
It's hard to say because I think this movie proves that they are pretty similar pursuits and that you are setting yourself up for heartbreak in either scenario. I mean, who's to say that Godzilla isn't her husband and Junior isn't her child? Essentially, right? That's what it felt like. So, personally, if I lived in the Godzilla universe, I would absolutely join G-Force. That's the best job you could have. Just professional life, at the very least, dedicated to Godzilla. You know what? I'm going to say yes. If I had the option, I'd dedicate to Godzilla. I might have, a family outside of that, but,
Your heart's with Godzilla.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a normal life. They would know that Godzilla, comes first.
How about you, Joanna? What did you think of that scene?
I just was so like, because I felt like we were doing a decent job of being like, all right, we got these 3 ladies. They're all a part of the crew. And they're reporting and they're leading G-Force and doing their, so it felt like it just, threw us back so far, and it wasn't really necessary. I was like, we got some powerful scientists and reporters. They got great outfits. They're rocking and rolling. So I was just, saddened to have it thrown in there like that. Felt like, probably could have been cut, but there wasn't. I think for me, I don't know if I'd be on G-Force. I think I'd be the reporter.
Okay. Godzilla adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mac and I had the funniest experience with that exact scene where it couldn't have played out more perfectly for us, where the scene starts and it's the 2 women sitting next to each other, and one of them goes, "My story is I'm blah 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 blah, and I am a psychic," and then the other one says, "Well, I'm blah 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 blah," and Mac just goes, "What is this scene? Like what is this? Just like here's a little about me, here's a little about me," and then I went, "Well, at least it passes the Bechdel test," and then in that moment she goes, "I wish I had a husband and kids," end scene. And we both just went, well, nope, there it was. There was our one shot. They've
been working together, at least during the movie, for many days. And I assume they don't show her getting hired. Mickey's just like, "So you work here too, huh?" You're just meeting now?
And also she has this cool, this backstory of like, oh yeah, I studied here. And then she's like, I want a husband. I'm like, what is this, Jane Eyre? What the fuck is going on?
Jess, what are you going to miss about Godzilla?
Oh, so much. I'm going to miss his back spikes.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to miss the way he swims across the ocean. We got a lot of good swimming in this movie. More than others, I believe. I'm going to miss G-Force. All my life I've wanted to work at G-Force, and now there's just no point anymore. Gosh, I'll miss his yell. His screech. And I'll miss the constant state of fear that Godzilla might show up.
We could use a little more fear in our life.
Yeah, just keep everyone on your toes, make sure we got our, make sure our drills and our emergency systems are up to date. Like, without Godzilla, that stuff's gonna fall, through the cracks, and our infrastructure as a whole is going to crumble.
Right. Like the roads, so much better when they have to build them every 3 years.
Yeah.
Always fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's going to be potholes.
Yeah.
It's like letting.
Yeah, I went to Tokyo a few years ago and it was looking good because all that GZ rebuild.
That's right. Yeah, it's all new. It's like letting the soil go fallow or whatever they call that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not an agricultural man.
I appreciate your attempt at committing to it, though, as long as you could.
I tried.
I kind of knew what you meant. But real quick, Jess, would you place this movie in Godzilla Heaven, Hell, or Purgatory?
I'm putting this one in Godzilla Heaven. I really enjoyed it. I feel like they kept, as goofy as the, like, I want a husband, oh, I'll marry to Godzilla scene is, I feel like it really connected us to the characters, and it kept a good human element throughout the whole thing. You got the brother and sister, you got the sister who's implied to fall in love with the scientist, or that's how it's set up, and then it never happens, which I really liked. They're like, yeah, they know each other. Maybe they'll fall in love. Who knows? That's for them to decide later. We're not going to force it for the movie.
Offset.
Yeah, we got little Junior who, stole our hearts so quickly and then left us so suddenly. We get Godzilla screaming and crying because his one companion died. It's just I really enjoyed it. I thought it was solid. I was impressed by the effects. I was impressed. I love the intro where the kanji come shooting in all cool, and then there's just the English laid on top of it, just just totally obscuring it, and the verses doesn't even line up.
Yeah, that isn't just like a visual metaphor for a dub. Like that's just like the visual equivalent of dubbing.
But then it wasn't dubbed, or I didn't watch the dub one.
Oh, you did? Oh, missing out.
I started with the dubbed one. Yeah, and then 20 minutes in, I was like, I can't do this shit. And I had to switch. I was like, I know the movie will be way better without the dub. It was so corny with it. Yeah.
I did the same thing. I started, I was like, no, I gotta find the subtitles version. Well, thank you for coming. Go ahead and go into the chapel. We have some snacks laid out. Go ahead and, mingle.
Great. Do you have any good, do you have a photo spot set up so I can take a selfie and let everyone know I'm here?
We actually made
even
a
better.
Yeah.
We have a funeral photo booth.
Yes, with props.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, a little pink flamingo hand. A mustache.
Cardboard where you could be blowing lasers out if you want to.
Yes. Oh, the little toy ship, the little X3.
Oh, yeah. Crush him. We got...
Mushroom cloud.
All kinds of good shit.
Yeah. Great. And I think just like Godzilla, I too plan to one day melt out of existence. So. What a way to go.
What a wonderful way to go. I see Godzilla's Hollywood friends are showing up here fashionably late. We got Brian Sacrapani and Mac. But thank you guys for showing up.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for, having us here at LA Traffic as usual.
It's a little weird that you guys demanded that we roll out a red carpet for you walking into this church. Kind of odd.
Right. Well, my helicopter was late picking me up, so... What can you do?
It only felt right that, there was a step and repeat for someone who's this big and massive in Hollywood.
Yeah, what I heard, Ryan was also into the step and repeat idea, along with the photo booth we've got in the back with our Godzilla themed props. So, I wouldn't feel too guilty about that one.
We got to pass the hat for Junior later, so we got to fundraise out of it. I don't mind. Providing some amenities. But, how did you guys feel when you heard the news?
Personally, I was devastated. I feel like it's been... We've had such a good ride, Godzilla and us, Hollywood, as a collective.
Right, so many good memories.
It's been a beautiful, beautiful, long relationship, and to see him go out like that was just... It's devastating.
Yeah.
What about you, Mac? What were your feelings? Were you depressed when you heard there might be whisperings on the wind of Godzilla dying?
You know, I was just thinking about all the opportunities that we'll collectively never have to share his story with more people, because I think it's so meaningful and so four-quadrant.
The man led a 4-quadrant life.
He did.
You know, it's...
No more blocks will be busted
That's
on this day.
That's right. Well, maybe mine. You know, the world... Hollywood loves a reboot, but does not know what to do about a deboot.
No. Well, after seeing what happened to him in Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, who would you cast if you had a chance to replace this cast? Who would you beef it up with in this day and age?
Personally, I had a little bit of not difficulty, but like a lot more thought went into this question than I thought was going to initially be the case. Because part of that being that I think, to put on our serious hats for a moment, like Japanese culture and Japan is such a big part of it. And so I feel like if we're going to stick with the authentic casting, you have to have people who are at least part Japanese.
Right, so Scarlett Johansson.
When thinking about who to cast as the Yamane siblings, I was thinking like Darren Barnett and Midori Francis, two half Japanese people who are on the come up. But if we're throwing race and all of that outside, feels like a very Lucas Hedges, Florence Pugh combo to really just like give it that A-list quality, you know?
I can see Florence Pugh in that 90s reporter suit.
Fully, absolutely. I mean, that would make this like that would just make this the prestige piece that we all know it could have been, and almost was.
Mac, do you have any suggestions?
I think that's pretty good, and unlike Brian, I put no thought into this until just this very moment. So I just think, okay, I'm gonna go the completely opposite direction and say that a cameo from somebody super relevant like a Mike Myers would really, or Gilbert Gottfried, R.I.P., would really take this in the comedic direction that I feel it deserved to go.
Yeah.
Just pay off the revenge of the crab people in a great way.
So like Gilbert Gottfried as the voice of the
I think so. I love that idea, actually. I was thinking more just in like a random guy number 2 kind of role, but Gilbert Gottfried voicing Destoroyah, I think is genius.
Yeah, lead scientist somewhere.
Yes.
Well, speaking of big goofballs in this movie, if you guys had that job as the aquarium security guard and you were just walking along and all of a sudden all the fish started dissolving, like what would you do? What would your first thought be in that scenario?
I think this is a little bit more about his like performance, because personally, no notes. That security guard nailed it. That is exactly how I would have reacted. Just like the dumbfounded look on your face at this fish dissolving before your eyes. Beautiful. Like, I really hope that was like first take, because like the dude's a genius. Like, that was so spot on to how I think was the appropriate way to react to that.
I agree. I mean, as far as like what I would have been thinking is immediately like, I am so fired, super fired. All the fish die. It's like when you watch your friend's parents' house, and they have fish, and then you forget to feed them one day. I actually had this happen to me where there was a power outage and they had tropical fish, and then I came back and all the fish were dead. So I felt this on a very personal level.
Oh my God.
Through no fault of my own, all the fish perished. But I think the lightning adds like an extra factor of excitement of seeing like...
You really sympathize.
I really do. That was my guy.
I had a fish die on my watch too. I arrived and it had jumped out of the tank and was just on the floor dying as I arrived. So bad. In my friend's 13-year-old bedroom. Like very, very scarring.
That is a good point, though. Like, how would you explain that the next day? Like, why are all the fish skeletons?
I love the shot of the fish skeletons. That was incredible. Just all of them collecting.
I loved the Scooby-Doo kind of thing with like the music and how he was like holding the flashlight, like walking from one fish to the next. It was beautiful. Now, Joanna, you had a question you wanted to pose to us about
Okay.
the themes of this movie.
You know, knowing that we've been doing this podcast for 47 years so far, I was wondering if you two thought that, you know, will the potential for a nuclear war and, you know, global warming ever go away, or will the Godzilla franchise continue to be able to create films about the misuse of science and nuclear energy ad infinitum, leading to me and Sam and Ryan being on this pod until well into our 80s and beyond?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was already a given that you guys were in this for life. Like, this is it. Yeah.
I did sign a contract in blood at the UCB practice room when I did start this, so that was probably on me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think humans in particular are stupid enough to just, like, amplify the potential for there to be more destruction and more nuclear warfare. So, yeah, I think this is not going anywhere.
I agree.
We'll catch you guys here in 2073.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reboot.
Let's do 2072 because that'll be 55th anniversary.
Mac, what are your thoughts about us doing this podcast for forever?
I think that it's going to continue to be more relevant. There was a great quote from this movie where the scientist goes, well, no one, I don't think when he's being questioned by the reporter, who I have a lot of thoughts about, by the way. I loved her outfits, loved her hair, loved her tenacity. Fuck that guy who said that being a know-it-all would kill her love life. She's way out of your league. Step off. But she questions him about the oxygen technology and it being used as a weapon, and he goes, well, I don't think anyone would want to threaten global war. I was just like, yes, no one would do that. Not in this day and age. So yes, I think the Godzilla movies will continue to be extremely relevant for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, when I heard that line, I got a good laugh out of that.
Yes.
Mac had a very funny revelation when seeing Godzilla with his nuclear heart burn. You want to tell what you felt like he was just going through?
Yes, I was waiting for a moment to unload this observation, but to me, this isn't really even about nuclear war or global war. It's just about Godzilla going through menopause. Like, he's just so hot all the time and so angry.
Oh my God. Yes, that's so true. God, and they were trying to kill him.
Exactly.
He was just aging gracefully.
There are a lot more layers to this one than I even realized.
So yes, that's my hot take on this movie.
I mean, getting defensive over her children, trying to like reunite with them.
Yes.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, I think it's accurate.
Yeah. Screaming into the void, you know.
Literally melting.
Well, I wanted to ask you both one more question, and that is, what are you going to miss about Godzilla?
I think I'm going to miss, I don't know if this really answers the question fully, but I think I'm going to miss Junior. Junior the most, especially seeing the glow up from even just from Space Godzilla to Destoroyah, like really coming into his own, really just showing us like his true potential, and for his life to get cut short so just like cruelly But then at the end, you get like the little, oh, everything's going to be fine. Or will it? I don't know. But I think I'm going to miss like the father-son, mother-son bond between the two. It's always a little bit unclear as to like, is Godzilla the father, the mother, both, perhaps. I'm going to miss that element, I think, the most now as Junior gets to potentially be off on his own.
I know, go on his own adventures. It's just not going to be the same as the family affair. As usual, we have to ask you guys where you would place this movie in Godzilla Heaven, Hell, or Purgatory. What about you, Brian?
I'm placing this one in Heaven. This one, I felt like, I'm sure you've discussed this already, but like I actually felt like the focus was more on Godzilla and like Godzilla Jr. and this, creature of like mass destruction. In terms of like the actual like makeup of the movie, I thought it was like really strong, and like a really great way to go out. I had a little mixed feelings about Destoroyah as a monster, but I could set those aside, and I think this one belongs in Heaven. And it's just seeing like Mickey, like that shot of just her face, where she's just like the emotional heart and soul of this movie, and she's like, Godzilla's gone. Like my work is done. Like this is over. No more Godzilla. Just really icing on the cake. Like nailed it. I feel very strongly about this.
She does get a little emotional gut punch.
Yeah.
But now I have to ask, what are your thoughts on Destoroyah that are mixed?
This may be unpopular, but I felt like it was a little similar to Space Godzilla in terms of like how it looked and like what I will say is I think this was the most evil of the like villains I've seen before, just like killing out of pure want to kill. And like Space Godzilla was like, oh, I'm gonna be a dick and I'm gonna trap Godzilla Jr. Destoroyah was like, no, I'm gonna one up you, I'm gonna murder him. I'm just gonna drop him from the heavens. And terrible. Like I will say, in terms of a villain, there was no sympathizing, no rooting for anybody but Godzilla. I didn't love the like, I guess like maybe the look or like the structure of how it was like built up as like these. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. I think of it as the improved Space Godzilla, but I kind of know what you mean. They have a similar body structure.
Yeah, they're of like they're of the same like vein, but definitely the more evil version, I will say.
Oh yeah. Mac, where would you place this movie?
Yeah, I think for me, I have to put this movie in Purgatory for a couple of reasons. I completely agree with Brian that I thought the actual Godzilla storyline was really interesting, and I liked that was such a clear mechanic that everything else was circling around. I think there were a lot of, as these movies often do, referencing other movies, and I mean, there's a whole sequence that's very, I'm going to say, inspired by Alien with the flamethrowers, or even The Thing, maybe, I don't know. But Alien and, the Destoroyah dropping out of the ceiling. There were a lot of things like that for me that I just felt like there could have been more creativity in using that monster. I think actually the idea that it's kind of something that's escaped into the, the water supply and the earth is fun. I really like the idea of Godzilla, kind of the threatening to blow that we're kind of tracking throughout the whole movie. So I think those two things in opposition to each other, and then it just wasn't really helped by a supporting cast that I felt could have used more. So I think for me, it falls squarely, and I enjoyed some parts of it. I didn't enjoy other parts as much as I had hoped. And it's in Purgatory, which I think is very symbolic of like this franchise where it's, there are very high highs and low lows and a lot in the middle, and, you enjoy them all the same. So I hope that there's no hard feelings with me putting this movie in Purgatory, but it felt right to me.
Not on my end.
Yes, thank you, Sam.
That is very true. Yeah. It's been interesting to hear the range of opinions today.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see how our final opinions shake out a little bit later. In the meantime, thank you both for being here. Go ahead and head into the chapel.
Have some snacks. Take a photo.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I hope you brought some celebrity guests that people will whisper about being here today. Maybe Tom Hanks is with you. Is he in the limo back there?
Gilbert Gottfried.
It's Ghost.
That is highly confidential information that we cannot discuss at this time. However, there will probably be some write-ups in the tabloids about this later.
Okay, all right. I'm sure we'll see him send something to the Hollywood Reporter for the obituary column.
Absolutely.
Well, it looks like everybody's here, so if everyone could take their seats in the pews, that would be great. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Godzilla is a dear friend of us all. One by one, he stomped into all of our hearts and given us a hero to look up to. I know he's brought me many hours of joy, and I'm going to miss him dearly. So I say we celebrate him just one last time. If you'll all open your hymn books to page 95, we'll sing a traditional favorite of Godzilla's. Maestro, if you please.
All right. This one goes out to Godzilla.
With a purposeful grimace and a terrible sound, he pulled the spinning high-tension wires down. Helpless people on a subway train screamed bug-eyed as he looked in on them. He picked up a bus and he threw it back down as he waded through the buildings from the center of town. Godzilla. Oh no, to Godzilla heaven you go. Goodbye, Godzilla.
Wait, do you see that? Godzilla's reforming. His fingers are moving.
What?
He's okay. He's alive.
Oh my god.
Godzilla, I'm sorry for what I said about you.
We must have restored him with the love conveyed through our song.
Wow. Oh my god. I do believe in Godzilla. I do.
I do believe in Godzilla.
I do believe in Junior.
Oh no. They say he's got to go, 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 Godzilla. Tokyo, go, go, Godzilla.
And this is so great. You know, you guys, we don't have to end the show after all. We can go on. We can cover every monster movie ever made.
Joanna, why are you trying to kill Godzilla again? No.
Yeah, step away. He's okay now.
No, every monster movie ever, Ryan. Really?
Yeah, and we can even go back through them all again and dig into them with different guests.
Well, maybe we just finish the 2 we have left or something. How many are left? 40?
There's 9 Godzilla movies left.
Okay.
And there's other stuff we want to cover too.
Maybe. How about next year? I think after next year, I have a lot of very important plans coming up.
I believe it. All right, so that's the compromise. Godzillavangelists will go on through 2023.
Wow.
But I know that we've got a lot of fun ideas for the show that we're looking forward to bringing you all in the coming months. So stay tuned for surprises, Godzillavangelists.
What are the surprises, Ryan?
Give
Sam,
us a
do
taste,
you know?
Ryan.
Wait to find out.
Ryan,
Sam, do you
give us
know
a
what the
wee little taste.
Yeah.
A wee little taste.
Oh, come
well,
on, Ryan. Godzilla's alive again. It's a party.
Yeah, you just saw the resurrection of a giant dinosaur.
Of your favorite
Of your favorite dinosaur.
thing in the world.
You can certainly
All right,
find it in
just-
your heart.
Just a little taste. If you live in the Los Angeles area, you could maybe come see us. in 2023.
Oh no, I live in New York.
Or New York.
No, only
do you-
LA. Only LA. Wow.
All right.
Amazing. Ryan, thank you for that. Also, are you offended that Sam called Godzilla a dinosaur?
I didn't even hear that. I was so overjoyed.
Yeah.
Well, let's give Godzilla some time with his family and step into this side room
Junior, get in here.
To confession.
to confession and give our judgments to Godzilla versus Destoroyah. So for me, it pains me that this movie isn't better because the big ideas have a lot of potential. Like, this could be a genuinely great movie about exploring like what the world's going to be like without Godzilla and like what it means to see this incredibly strong and powerful monster become very sick and need our humanity's help more than ever, and like potentially losing his son, passing the torch, like elements from the past, the oxygen destroyer, like all this stuff is a rich vein of monster movie ideas, but ultimately it feels like they rush the script and everything is too muddled up. Like, our focus is shifted so often, I'm never quite sure what the main thread we're supposed to be holding on to is. But as with all these 90s movies, this is not really egregiously bad enough to go to hell either. There's like some fun battle stuff. The big ideas still sort of seep through, even if they're not done particularly well. So solid purgatory for me.
Did you know that it's actually Destoroyah? It's Destoroyah Monsters is the name of that movie from the 60s. It's a bad joke. It didn't work.
This is worse than when Will was on earlier.
Oh, Will was but the primer for the podcast kamikaze that I am.
I forgot about that.
How can you forget?
I'm going to give you my thoughts because I'm so on the fence on this one. And then I hope that by the end of me rambling, I will know whether this goes in hell or purgatory. I think there were some good ideas, namely nuclear meltdown Godzilla. I didn't think the flashback stuff did much for me, the connective tissue to the older ones, other than, I suppose, monster birthed by the oxygen destroyer, which is pretty cool. So Godzilla Meltdown and Monster Birthed by Oxygen Destroyer are two good ideas that are executed somewhat. And I thought that relative to at least the last few, I would say that the special effects are a little better. But I also thought this was among the flattest and ugliest ones. And was maybe I didn't care for the way it was shot. I thought it was, we touched on it with Greg, but I found it to be borderline incoherent in its filmmaking at times. So I didn't have a great time with it, if I'm being totally honest. And where does that leave me? It feels mean to put it in hell, but I think I will. I think I will. Yeah, I have to be honest, I just didn't really enjoy any of it until the final meltdown and some good melting. Practical melting is always cool. But yeah, that's where I ended out. I think it is a hell. I think that it was weirdly a very fitting end to a very purgatory era for me. But in a strange way, I almost feel that the only fitting way for purgatory series is to end in hell.
Right, and then for it to resurrect into 1998 Godzilla Heaven.
Right. Well, and if I'm being entirely honest, maybe I'm being too harsh saying that. I was being a little biased toward the ugliness and filmmaking incoherence because we saw that Gamera movie that was way better made. So maybe had I not just seen that Gamera movie, I would be like, yeah, it's chill, it's a purg.
But no, that's fair. I'm not going to say this movie doesn't deserve hell. It was going to end up there during the finale episode anyway.
Right.
Ryan, I don't know if we told you, Sam and I are doing a Gamera spin-off podcast.
That's right.
So,
that's why
you can listen to it.
I want to do that.
No, catch us on Patreon.
Damn it.
We don't invite Ryan to our kaiju podcast. That would be the meanest thing we could do.
We'll have no insider facts to share. We'll just be going off the oblivion of our idiocracy and limited knowledge on this series.
Well, I think it's settled. We have to do another Gamera episode.
For sure. Only if children are involved. I mean, they have to be because he's the savior of children. So what am I talking about?
Well, we'll watch one more of the old ones and we'll finish the trilogy. But
perfect.
Anyway, Joanna, let's finish it off. What's your judgment?
This one, I struggled with a lot of the 90s ones too. And, the repetitiveness, the large cast, the being like, what are we doing here? But I thought this one, I liked the plot device of nuclear Godzilla. And I liked the, threat of imminent demise of the world that brought. I thought the freezing, even though they did it 20 times, I was still always there to watch it. I thought it was so fun. And the melting, of course, loved. And then there were a few other elements that I just, I loved the college kid with the essay on the internet. What a great intro. The simplicity of them being siblings, like that. Wow, I'm stealing that for the next film that I write. And I liked the little Destoroyahs because they're little. There was something very satisfying about that scene when they were first kind of coming out of that lab or whatever it was. It felt like, okay, yeah, this is a movie. This is effective. We have this arc. She's in the car. And then also we did have 3 female characters who had parts, who, weren't just telepathic, but were pretty silent about it the whole time. They had parts. One of them was
has a
always
husband
like,
someday. One of them will have
a husband.
someday.
Yeah, except for that pivot. She was all, I will move on with or without you. Sentimentalism has no place here. She had cool hats. So I have to give props to that compared to so many of the other films. So not that they combined at all anywhere near heaven, but those little elements of it were enough for me to put it in her purgatory and not totally throw it into hell. It's no Rodan,
Let's do a hard pivot to sappiness.
Aww.
Because let's be serious for a moment. I often get really jaded with the pop culture landscape of today and how much wasted time and effort is put into fandom. Not that people can't enjoy things, but you know what I mean. There's like an over focus on it, but at the end of the day, I really do love Godzilla. Regardless of all the commercialism around him, he was obviously birthed from a commercial desire, but there was also aspects of wanting to do better for the world, as muddled as they can get. And so I love doing a show about Godzilla, and I love doing it with you guys. I got to thank you for sticking with the show through all the challenges and issues we've faced. So,
warms my heart. Thank you for having us, Ryan. Despite how when at the beginning of the episode you asked, how do you guys feel about this death? And we were not as sad as you might have anticipated. Yeah, we love it though.
And for the record, I think we would be sad if Godzilla actually died. If that makes sense.
I think we all would be, yeah.
If
I think, and doing these anniversary shows, I get to see all these other people that we've spread Godzilla to, and a lot of them, even if they hadn't watched the movies before, they're more curious, they want to know more about it, they have this fun. So I'm really glad that we can do that too. And I have to thank you, the audience. I hope the show is bringing you some small measure of joy in these really tough times. And I really appreciate everyone who listens and comments and all that. And more than ever, these aren't normal times, so make sure you're as safe and caring, as helpful as possible. And I hope you'll indulge me saying that one little thing.
Yeah, thank you all so much for the support. We really greatly appreciate it.
Speaking of reviews, I've got a new Apple Podcasts review.
Our favorite.
Our favorite. Thank you so much to Local Zero. Not what I'm saying, that's their screen name. The review is entitled Deep and Funny Dive into Godzilla History, Old and New. Brings back great memories from watching these movies when I was a kid. Fun to hear everyone's perspectives and the unique things they take away from these movies as adult first-time watchers.
I love that, Ryan. I feel like it's the perfect example. Like you're bringing back these great memories for yourself of when you were a kid, and Sam and I are just along for the crazy ride.
You just look at this and be like, "What am I looking at?"
Yeah.
You know, this is a weird discovery I've made. A weird discovery I've made. But Ryan, I have found, and I've learned something from this podcast. I found that these are more fun watched in the morning than at night. And I think it's because it taps into childhood in some way, right?
Yeah. Like the
You know
9
what?
a.m. cartoon.
Yeah.
You might have a point, because I remember as a kid I would get up early a lot. I would, at 5:30, 6 a.m. every day. So when I was waiting for my sister to get up or whatever, I'd put on a Godzilla movie and my family would come downstairs towards the end of it. So maybe that is the vibe. I got to try watching them in the morning more often.
Yeah, I recommend. I say it makes my outlook more positive, and I just gave this movie a hell, and I know it's a beloved one. So, but I did watch this one in the morning, so I may have put it in super hell had I not. Who knows? But my point being, I think that it's important to recognize why people like these, and I think that for a lot of people it means a lot to them because they watched it as a kid, and I think that's the way that I don't want to say best function, but I think that's the way that they work.
I've had that thought a lot too. Anytime I'm judging, starting to judge hard, if I just take a step back and go, okay, well, remember that part of this audience is for kids, this mass audience, and including children. So when you look at it from that lens, and I think about like my niece or nephew watching these, it all clicks much more. And then you can have fun and enjoy it without trying to critique it too harshly, even though we also do that sometimes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's the whole appeal. I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing this show, right? Is showing that Godzilla is more than just, cheesy nostalgia. But there's definitely a big aspect of that, of being open to seeing this with imaginative eyes. I forget who said this. I think it was David Callett, but I'm not sure. Said that Godzilla shares much of the appeal of the Muppets. And it's so true. They both really want you to engage in this world that is a distinct unreality, but you have to buy into it and make it your reality and be okay with how ridiculous and bizarre it is. And so I think once you get through that buy-in, you access this world of wonders, but it's certainly easier with movies that are better or weirder than Destoroyah.
Yeah. We love the weird ones.
We sure do.
Yeah. So I've already kind of mentioned it, but dear listener, please recommend this podcast to anyone you think might like it. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us so much, and it's not so hard to do. Subscribe to us. Leave comments on our social media, our YouTube. All of that is really great. And we will see you soon enough with a new episode. I'm not actually sure what the next one is. I've flipped back and forth, but keep your ears out for it. And thank you for being here for 5 years of Godzillavangelists.
Holy cow. And thank you for stopping by the funeral and resurrection. We were happy to have you all here singing along.
I hope you enjoyed sharing in this joyous moment. And of course, keep spreading the word of Godzilla.
Screonk, everyone.
5 years. Holy crap.
That's mind blowing.
We're fucking old.
All right. Godzillavangelists, a Geek Stew Network podcast, is brought to you by me, Ryan Sargent, and my friends Joanna Brodecki and Sam Schlenker. This episode was edited by Brogan Malloy. All our incredible music is composed by Robert Mai, and our wonderful artwork is drawn by Cassidy Stone. Special thanks to our families, friends, and the wonderful artists who made the movies we talked about today. Godzillavangelists is a satirical, critical work not affiliated or endorsed by Toho, Legendary Pictures, or anyone behind the Godzilla series. Visit our website at godzillavangelists.com. We're also on Twitter at GodzillaCast and Instagram at GodzillaVangelists. If you prefer to listen to us online, we have a YouTube channel, and the latest episode is always on SoundCloud too. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you join us next time. In the meantime, keep spreading the word of Godzilla.